this one. Maybe the microphone will work now. Maybe the microphone works now. Not sure. Oh, here we go. Okay. Now my microphone is working. Now you guys can finally hear me. I'm sorry that the stream was so silent for so long. Good afternoon, everybody. I didn't think I'd be in the studio this early, but here we are. We're back, and we're here to monitor some severe weather. We're currently monitoring a couple of thunderstorm cells making their way south of I-70 at this point. A couple of severe thunderstorm warnings popping up, one just to the southwest of Noble County, and another one that just recently popped up right over here. We'll zoom in on that now if I can grab my mouse. Here we are. Here it is. And if I am hearing correctly, I believe our other meteorologist in-house, Nathan Shutt, has just arrived. He's in-house. It's a full house this evening, isn't it? Currently watching this cell making its way south of Moundsville. We just saw that camera with those misty conditions in the background, plenty of lightning in the area. Hail up to an inch size, wind speeds up to 60 miles per hour. Taking a look at that now. No tornado warnings just yet. We are looking at some rotation within these cells, which is why I made my way over here, just preemptively in the case that we do end up with a tornado warning. We're going to pop into our live broadcast from there, but currently just monitoring a couple of these thunderstorm cells, again, just tracking their way south of I-70. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. It's been an interesting day, hasn't it? Bit of a wacky Wednesday. Can't believe it's April Fool's Day, and we have the severe weather coming in. It's almost too ironic, isn't it? But again, yes, keeping an eye on some of these cells, taking a look now at some of those hail trails. Wow, take a look at that. Getting some near baseball size hail from what it looks like. I'm going to zoom in now right here. Crossing into Noble and Monroe County right here. Wow, take a look at that. Getting some baseball size hail out here in Summerfield. I know earlier they reported 1-inch hail. Some of these hail signatures indicating maybe some even larger than that. Otherwise getting some pea and quarter-sized hail tracking through Summerfield, through Monroe County to Woodsfield, and now over to the Clarington area. This is that same thunderstorm that just got recently warned in the area. So again, we are under a severe thunderstorm warning. Just currently monitoring these two cells, which I'll point out for you on the camera with my handy dandy pointer. This one right here making its way just south of Moundsville in the Marshall County area, as well as this cell right here just to the north, or excuse me, to the southwest of Noble County. That's going to begin tracking in shortly. All of these carrying a decent amount of hail within we just saw those hail trails, already reporting some 1-inch hail out in Summerfield. Some of our radar indicates maybe seeing even larger size hail, getting close to baseball size. So again, just keeping an eye out now. Going to take a look at some of our storm reports. Getting some more hail reports out here in the Noble County area. Summerfield at about 1 inch. Which you guys can't see, unfortunately, it is going off screen for me. Looks like both are reporting 1 inch. Oh, sorry, Louisville, we are getting some 1 3/4 inches of a size. So much closer to that baseball size than we just recently saw on our hail trails. This is out here in Louisville. We did spot these hail trails earlier, so we have confirmed that there is some near baseball size hail over here in the Summerfield and Louisville areas down here, crossing into Noble and Monroe counties. Just keeping an eye out here. I know a lot of kids are heading home from school. A lot of people are starting to head home from work. So definitely keep an eye out if you are traveling this afternoon and evening. These thunderstorms are going to keep coming. And we can see them here right now, again, currently tracking 2 severe thunderstorm warnings, one just to the southwest of Noble County, the other one right here tracking into mainly Marshall County, but portions of Wetzel County as well, just south of Moundsville. Take a look at that camera one more time, see if we can see any of that lightning going. Nope, looks just to the south of our camera. We can see it kind of in the background over here, some of those mistier clouds. That's where that thunderstorm cell is located. You can see the roadways are still fairly soaked from this morning and from passing showers throughout the day. So again, be very careful if you are on the roads today. Don't want to hit any slippery spots. Could see some ponding on the roads as well, especially in some of those low-lying areas. So again, just being very careful as we head home from work, taking the kids home from school, keeping it very easy with some of these thunderstorms moving their way through. Again, we're just keeping an eye on those, getting some significant hail reports Earlier, we reported about an inch hail of diameter in Summerfield. Now reporting in Louisville, just the neighboring city, an 1.75 inches, closer to baseball size, which is what we saw on our hail tracking, as we can see right here. Let's zoom into the area one more time. There's that golf and baseball size hail located right here in the Summerfield area and Lewiston area. Noble and Monroe County currently seeing some hail trails making their way through. And again, watching this thunderstorm down here to the northwest from Noble County, which is also producing a significant size hail right now, sitting at about 1/4 size. And this same cell is now currently tracking just south of Moundsville, near the Clarington area, now transitioning into the Abilene, Howard, and Meagan areas, just north of Proctor. Again, that severe thunderstorm warning is in effect for that area. As we can see, looking over the last hour or so, we can see those trails of thunderstorms beginning to make their way through the south. We saw clearing earlier. A couple of you probably saw a bit of some sunny skies, a bit of some false hope that we were going to get some clearer weather today, and unfortunately, that doesn't seem to be the case. Mark Tracy, storms moving south. No, they are not moving south. They're actually moving in a bit of a east-northeast kind of fashion. I would say more so east-northeast for sure. They are tracking pretty quickly. Right now, these look fairly scattered, so just a couple of areas that we are warning, mainly south of I-70 is where we're seeing a lot of these thunderstorms. But when we zoom out, plenty of thunderstorms hang in the area just to our north in Cleveland and Akron, getting some significant rain over there. But for now, just monitoring some of these smaller, isolated, more severe thunderstorms containing a bit of some hail, some gusty winds. Take a look at our velocity radar. We can see a couple of some of those heavier winds out of the gate. Pause that, see if we can get good zoom in on one of these guys. Here we go. See, I'm figuring out the controls. Yep, seeing some 37 miles per hour, 51 miles per hour, 45 miles per hour, getting some pretty hefty wind gusts, again, with that Warren cell just to the southwest of Noble County. Check out that other Warren cell over here near the Moundsville and New Martinsville area. Yep, seeing some 30-mile-per-hour gusts. This is just the winds. We're looking at velocity, 22 miles per hour. Again, into the 30-mile-per-hour range, so definitely something you're going to see as we go through today. But again, we're just keeping an eye on this thunderstorm-warned area for now. Everything seems to be looking pretty okay. No tornadoes, just some hail and some gusty winds. Really getting some gusty winds out of this cell over here near Noble County, but definitely getting some significant hail with both that we just tracked over the Summerfield and Louisville areas, getting about 1 inch to 1.75 inches of hail. Okay, thank you, Emma. Thank you, thank you. Of course, guys, and thank you guys for tuning in. If you guys are just joining me, thank you for joining us. We are back. We do have some severe thunderstorm warnings in our area right now, currently monitoring a couple of those. Just keeping an eye out right now. Again, we do have those severe thunderstorm warnings in the area, currently monitoring 2 cells at this time. One right here in the Ohio, Marshall, and Wetzel County areas. And then another one just to the southwest of Noble County. Just some severe thunderstorm warnings at this time. Inch hail indicated in both wind speeds up to 60 miles per hour. We just saw on those velocity scales that we are getting close to that. Some wind gusts closer to 45 to 50 miles per hour out here with this cell near Noble County. And with this cell tracking through just off of the Ohio River, currently watching for some inch-size hail. And we did see wind gusts up to 30 miles per hour. So again, just keeping an eye out tonight and this afternoon, especially if you are south of I-70. This is where some of those more severe thunderstorms are going to begin tracking through. A couple of them looming a bit earlier, hence why we're on stream right now. So thank you for joining us. We're keeping an eye out for these Again, if we do see a tornado warning pop up, we are going to switch over to our live broadcast. So please feel free to join us there if you do see us switch over. And we're just keeping an eye out now on some of those, checking in with my National Weather Service folks. Yep, we are getting some pictures of some of that hail out in Noble County. Definitely at that quarter-sized, getting close to that 1 3/4 of a size that we saw reported out in Louisville. So just keeping an eye out for now as we monitor some of these severe thunderstorms in the area. Just marching their way on through. These are very isolated, so you may step outside and be like, what thunderstorms are you talking about? Well, it's just mainly these scattered areas right here that you can see. If you're north of I-70, certainly not really seeing too much rain, maybe a little bit here in Ohio County, but certainly not seeing too much rain at this time. But when we go further south of I-70, that's where all the fun begins with all of these wonderful thunderstorms. Again, we thank you for joining us as we continue to monitor some of these thunderstorms for this evening. And for this afternoon, I should say. But again, watching that cell beginning to move in to the Noble County area, taking its very sweet time. Hey there.
Hi.
Would you like to join me over here?
Sure thing.
Absolutely. Hop on in. We are being joined now by the one and only meteorologist, Nathan Shutt, everybody.
Hello.
I will transition this microphone over to
Thank
you,
you so much,
of
Emma.
course. And if you would like me to switch over to your setup on the...
No, this should be okay.
All right.
Thank you, Emma.
Of course.
All right, well, good. Well, good afternoon, everyone. A smooth transition from one meteorologist to the next, and Emma did a great job there explaining these severe thunderstorm warnings that are in effect across the area. And like Emma mentioned, we're going to be watching for some rotation within these thunderstorms. Thankfully, though, we've seen it tighten at times. It's been fairly broad, so there's evidence that a lot of the rotation is staying aloft. And the issue is when it starts to tighten, it can lower, and that's what's going to prompt severe thunderstorm warnings that can take into effect across the area. So thankfully, again, rotation has been, for the most part, more elevated and broad to the point where it's not triggering any tornado warnings, but we're still watching for some of these severe thunderstorms moving across the area. So the big culprit, what's spawning a lot of these severe thunderstorms has to do with a frontal boundary that's residing across the area. And so when we're dealing with these severe thunderstorms, what's happening is these are developing closer to and south of that frontal boundary. So that's why the reasoning we're not dealing with that risk into areas north of I-70 as that front has dropped south and stalling over us, but locations along and south of that boundary is where we're dealing with these thunderstorms developing. And again, we're dealing with a couple severe thunderstorm warnings here, and we've dealt with, like Emmett mentioned, that hail has already been observed back in Noble County, getting those observed large hail reports, and also then dealing with a potential for some damaging winds as well. So both threats are on the table this time around when we're dealing with large hail, as well as high winds. That potential is there. And again, we've seen some rotation. If it tightens, then that potential for a tornado is there as well. So all threats are on the table, unfortunately, with these severe thunderstorms. But right now, what these storms have been producing is more on the order of large hail and some high winds. That's what we've seen observed so far. And again, we'll have to keep a close eye on these as we go throughout this afternoon and evening as we still continue to watch these severe thunderstorms in place. So our severe thunderstorm warning, this is covering into locations into central southern Marshall County, going towards 100 in Wetzel County. This is north of New Martinsville. I know you're getting that thunderstorm in New Martinsville right now, but that is not under that severe thunderstorm warning. That severe thunderstorm warning is covering locations that are further towards north of New Martinsville to the northeast. That's into more central southern Marshall County into northern Wetzel County. That's where a severe thunderstorm was into effect until 4 o'clock. Again, that hail size, that's quarter-sized hail. in addition to those wind speeds, the potential there for wind gusts upwards of 60 miles per hour in place into those areas. These locations, for a lot of us, that's going to be areas along south of I-70, still under that severe thunderstorm watch that is extended until 8 o'clock this evening. So even locations outside of these severe thunderstorm warnings for areas along south of I-70 still have to watch as we go throughout the next several hours here for that potential for severe thunderstorm. That window is still there available going into this evening before the risk of severe weather will likely fall off. Our other severe thunderstorm warning is just out of Noble County. That's going to be moving into locations likely south of Caldwell into southern Noble County, also dealing with the severe thunderstorm warning. Again, same threats there, quarter-size hail and the potential for some damaging wind gusts upwards of 60 miles per hour. So both threats on the table with both of these severe thunderstorms. So we look at velocity, and we're keeping a close eye on this image specifically for that rotation. So we're keeping a close eye. We have been with velocity. This is fancy words for wind speed and direction. So anytime you're seeing that radar indicator rotation, that is what we're looking at. So we're looking at the velocity product of the radar. And with this, what we're looking for exclusively with this, which you can see if we look at previous scans, if I go back just a little bit more, you get a better glimpse of it right here. So again, this is still pretty broad. But this is what we've been watching. And at times it has been tightening, just not to the extent. If we were to tighten and then maintain tighten, likely for a couple scans, we would have seen tornado warning issued. But this is what we're watching. This was back earlier at the closer to 3:13, 3:15, just earlier here this past hour. So this is what we're looking at. So our radar site's out of Pittsburgh. So think of the colors. The green is the winds blowing towards the radar site, red is away. So keeping that in mind, and then if we look out, of course, Pittsburgh, it's to the northeast of where we're looking at here. So keeping that in mind, we'll scroll back in here, and keeping that in mind, we can draw the wind direction here. So keeping that in mind, so we're going green towards, red away. So this is where you're getting green towards, red away. This is rotation. So radar indicator rotation, that is what we're talking about. And each time you see this tighten, so that's where we get that even lighter green and even lighter red, and it's starting to tighten where radar is depicting some higher winds closer together there with the green right towards, red away. If we're seeing those colors brighten, is close together, that's where radar would indicate rotation, and it can start to indicate that rotation tightening, and then that would then prompt that potential for a radar indicator rotation that could prompt a tornado warning. But thankfully, again, for us, we have not seen that come to fruition yet, but we've had evidence of some rotation within these thunderstorms. So 2 severe thunderstorm warnings, again, one just outside of our area. The other is still extending with this thunderstorm that is in locations into southern Marshall County, northern Wetzel County. That severe thunderstorm warning remaining into effect until 4 o'clock into the afternoon. So we look at see if we can get some reports coming in so far from these. And see the National Weather Service compiled any reports, and there they have. So there's to look at some of these so far, and Emma mentioned these hail reports coming out of Noble County. So there's a few there coming out of Noble County and into Monroe County, and some of these storm reports just indicated so far, these are preliminary. I'm sure there's many more yet to add. This is magnitude 1.75 inches. That's upwards, so we're looking at upwards of the golf ball sized hail, and that was even observed. That's magnitude an inch and then 1.75. So anywhere from quarter to golf ball sized hail. That is some significant hail that's been observed out of Noble County moving into Monroe County earlier this afternoon. That the same thunderstorm still remains warned. We're watching for that thunderstorm right now, looking back to locations further towards the east. So that same thunderstorm progressing to east moving through Monroe County and now resides into southern Marshall and into northern Wetzel County. We'll see this severe thunderstorm then continue to track off towards the east and pretty closely riding along that county line between Marshall and Wetzel County. So really close to the county line, especially if you're tuning in along that county line of southern Marshall, northern Wetzel County, south of Cameron. This is south of Cameron in Marshall County. That's where we're dealing with the greatest potential for impacts. You can see another feature on radar that we look at when we're talking about that hail threat, what we call is a hail core, and that's depicted with that higher reflectivity. So you can make that out if I pause this, and we're looking at the current scan. And you can make this out by looking at, you probably already spotted it, note that let's see if we could draw this here, or this point to it. But so you can see it, notice that higher reflectivity right there. So that's what we would call a hail core, the signature on reflectivity, that spike in reflectivity on radar. You know, what we're looking at typically with radar is the intensity of the rain, right? So the lighter greens is a light rain. And then, of course, we get to those orange and especially the red, the yellow, more moderate to heavy rain. But whenever we see that even spike in reflectivity to where it's more pink and sometimes even white, that's what we see that raises the alarm that what we could be dealing with there is that hail core. So that spike in reflectivity is what radar is picking up on as hail within this thunderstorm. So it's easier to spot. We look at reflectivity and we can spot that hail core, and it gives us a good idea of where that potential for some large hail is within this severe thunderstorm. So that's right along that county line, again, between St. Joseph and going towards Bannon, that's south of Adeline, north there of West. So it really just, the easiest way to put it is really just right along that county line of Marshall as Wetzel. So very close to the county line, and this is again moving towards the east. And now look for one scan to the next one happen. So they're gone, and that can happen too. Where we see that hail core, what could very well happen that hail dropped in those areas, and now with the latest scan, that hail core is not there. It can redevelop, drop, and then the next scan it can be gone. So now we're seeing less of that. So what could be happening is this moving towards the east, no longer producing that large hail, but could very well have, right where we saw this, it could very well produce some of that large hail. To see this Pleasant Ridge Road, Howard, St. Joseph, could very well gotten some large hail into that area between St. Joseph and Howard in southern Marshall County. And then with the latest scan as it's progressing to the east, now towards Howard and Bannon, to those locations that could very well start to lose that hail risk, but again, can return. So that's the thing with that hail. It can be on and off with these severe thunderstorms. And with the latest scan, you may see that redevelop and can produce large hail again as it continues to progress towards the east. So Tommy's asking what's going on with these storms in Barnesville, Ohio. So we could go towards Barnesville, Ohio and see what we've got going to Belmont County. And things are remaining quiet into Belmont County. The greatest risk for severe thunderstorms right now has been tracking through Noble, Monroe, into portions there, Wetzel, Marshall County. And in general, we'll likely see more of that risk setting up into those areas as well. Likely more even into those same locations, Noble, Monroe, Tyler, Wetzel County, southern Marshall County. That's where I'd say the greatest risk of severe thunderstorms currently resides, is for those areas. We're going to watch these continue then to track towards the east, but that's where we're likely seeing the greatest risk. Now, the watch does extend further out into areas outside of that, but that's the locations that I'd be watching so far right now. Let's see if we get to our severe thunderstorm watch, and there's a look at it right there. So again, including Noble, as well as Monroe, Tyler, Wetzel, Marshall, Belmont County, those locations under that severe thunderstorm watch, really highlighting a lot of areas south of I-70, especially having that greatest potential for severe thunderstorms. And like I mentioned, this has a lot to do with where this frontal boundary resides. So if I could throw up some current temperatures here, and that gives you a good idea. Let me find this real quick. Let's look at our temperatures. Let's even look at a broader view of this. So notice what happened. We discussed this. If you were tuning in yesterday, you'll see how drastic this was. I think we had that potential yesterday to see a 20-degree swing of temperatures across our area. So we're looking at right now. So temperatures, and yeah, look at this. So temperatures are still, it's even greater than 20 degrees. So check that out. Sisterville temperatures are still closer to the 80s. And then we're closer to the 50s. And my guess is even into the 40s in portions there of northern Tuscarawas. And in fact, let's get even a closer view of that. Let's look up a closer view. We get more local sites and check that out. Yes, wow. 40s, 44 to Carrollton, 73 Middleburn. Big temperature difference across the area. And again, the big culprit is this frontal boundary that is just sitting right over us. So north of that frontal boundary, where temperatures are cooler, north of I-70, 50s, 40s, you don't have a risk for severe weather today. Still can get some additional showers going into tonight, but not anticipating a severe weather risk for those areas north of I-70. But closer to and south of that frontal boundary, where temperatures, it's a much different story. It is still a warm day. If you're tuning in to Tyler, Wetzel County, Monroe, Marshall, Noble, you've felt it, right? South of I-70, it's been another warm day. While folks tuning in north of I-70, it's been much cooler, and it's been a drastic difference in temperatures across the area thanks to that frontal boundary. And as it sits over us, again, along and south of that is raising the alarm for severe weather, and we have that severe thunderstorm watch in effect primarily for locations south of I-70, extending until 8 o'clock. That severe weather risk continues into this evening and then will likely wane. And in fact, a lot of this activity will likely wane for the overnight hours as well, looking ahead into tomorrow. So only one severe thunderstorm warning that's in effect for our area, and it's the severe thunderstorm warning that is into southern Marshall, northern Wetzel. So covering a lot of the same locations. The severe thunderstorm is staying south of Cameron. I know Cameron looks like it's right under that severe thunderstorm warning. It's staying south of you into Cameron if you're tuning into Cameron. Still picking up some rain. You could very well hear some thunder, see some lightning, but the severe potential with this, those high winds, large hail, it's staying south of Cameron. And we're dealing with this hail threat, which has been primarily riding close to that county line. That's where a lot of the impacts, the potential impacts with this storm is closer to the county line of Marshall and Wetzel as this continues towards the east. And we're still watching some of these latest radar scans coming in. And what we're watching for with this, with these latest radar scans is going to be what we call the hail core with this. So can we go in and scroll in and look at this, and you can see this depicted in previous scans. So notice that we have some red there, some more maroon, but what we're really looking for is a further spike in reflectivity. And if we look a few more scans ago, that it was there. See that purple? And see how it just developed and then dissipated. So developing near St. Joseph, and then it moved east of there, really present there, dissipating. So that's what we can see happen with this. And even if you go back further to the west, you can see this as well. There's developing, you see the purple? Developing, dissipating, developing, dissipating. And it could be a continuous cycle. So you can see that it's producing large hail in cycles, right? It's periodically producing large hail. And anytime we're seeing radar depicting that higher reflectivity, that's what we call the hail core, that spike in reflectivity of the purple is what we're really watching for. That severe thunderstorm has that potential to produce some large hail and then dissipating, likely less of a large hail risk at this point. But again, it still we can see that develop again and produce more large hail as this continues to move towards the east. So let's see if we have any reports coming in. I don't see anything. We have any more reports of large hail coming in? I don't see any reports yet out of southern Marshall County. We can even look at storm reports. I don't think we're going to see anything new, but we did have some storm reports that were coming in out of areas further towards the west of Marshall and Wetzel. That was into Noble and Monroe, and seeing some large hail, very large hail, upwards of quarter to even golf ball sized hail being observed. That's the same storm that has moved across Monroe and now resides in southern Marshall, northern Wetzel. So it's the same storm has been tracking east across portions south of I-70, continuing now into Marshall County. Still good bets that it's produced some large hail. We just haven't had the reports yet coming in, but there's still some good odds that it's been producing at least some hail as it's continued to march towards the east, and we'll see reports coming in on what this has continued to produce as it moves to the east. We've had that potential for some high winds with this as well. Not seeing any reports of that, but we've had that potential. Let me actually, what always is a good, even though we don't have necessarily the reports, what we can do is check out the potential that we're dealing with any power outages. So while I'm looking at that, let's head back to our radar and still keep an eye on this severe thunderstorm. Again, continuing up until 4 o'clock, the damaging wind gusts, large hail, the potential with this severe thunderstorm. So let's look at power outages. So let's talk power outages. And in reality, not many. So there's always that lag or latency between the storm passing and the outages getting reported and then showing up, right? There's always that latency. So we could see these numbers go up. But right now, out of Noble County and out of Monroe County, we have a total of less than 60 customers reported without power. This was updated 2 minutes ago. So good evidence there that thankfully doesn't look like too much wind damage coming in out of those areas where the storm has passed. So good news there. So it looks like we may have had at least some gusty winds, but not an extensive amount of wind damage reported. We haven't had that reported yet. And again, the evidence in terms of power outages doesn't show too much either. So good news coming out of Noble as well as Monroe County as that storm is continuing into the northern panhandle at this time. Now, where we are getting some more reports, we do have Marshall County actually has 409 customers reported without power, updated 6 minutes ago. So we are seeing a further increase in power outages in Marshall County. So there's some evidence there. We could be dealing with the potential there for some higher wind gusts that producing some damaging winds and some power outages into Marshall County. But we do have more customers reported out of power there. It's still obviously nothing that's widespread, right? We're not seeing thousands of customers without power. It's still a decent amount, right? Over 400 customers reported without power in Marshall County, and could very well be related to this. It likely is. I mean, there's an off chance that the power outage could be unrelated, but there's a good correlation there that as the storm passes, that could very well be indicative of some wind damage and some, therefore, power outages. But the actual reports of wind damage itself, whether it be down lines or trees, that's yet to filter in. We have not had any reports of wind damage in that way. It's been reported in the National Weather Service. They've had large hail reports, but no wind damage reports coming in so far. And again, those could trickle in as we go throughout this evening as well. So still not seeing a real hail core redeveloping into southeastern Marshall County, where this thunderstorm currently resides. And again, you can see that severe thunderstorm warning extending all the way down towards, into Wetzel County, down towards Anthem, just north of Dean. So if you're tuning into any locations near there, even looking near 100, especially south of 100, between 100 and Anthem. I know the severe thunderstorm warning is extending further south into Wetzel County, but the reality of this is that severe thunderstorm is hugging closer to the county line, and a lot of it's staying in southern Marshall. So it's not going to impact much there of Wetzel County. And this is really hugging more into the southeastern part of Marshall County is where this is, near Bannon, and then moving still towards the east, towards Deep Valley, moving out of West Virginia, getting ready to move into southwestern PA. So let's go back out here. Looks like that severe thunderstorm warning they have canceled, even though I'm not seeing them report that, but it does look like that is what the National Weather Service office in Pittsburgh has done. That was extending up to 4 o'clock, and it's not quite that time yet. So it does look like they went ahead and canceled that before the 4 o'clock mark, as they're likely seeing what we are, that the hail core is not redeveloping. The system looks to be, that storm looks to be weakening at least a little. It's still a lot of lightning. You can see some very heavy rain and a lot of lightning within that thunderstorm to the southeastern corner of Marshall County. We look back further to the west, and these are some weaker cells, that even that one just south of it's weaker, that moved through New Martinsville. Still some lightning and heavy rain as that is passing by. And then looking back further towards the west, this one is really fallen apart, weakened substantially. This was our previous severe, let's do the last 3 hours here. Our previous severe thunderstorm warning, this was moving out of, you can see, look how much that cell weakened, moving out of Morgan, that's Morgan County, into Noble County, and just weakening a lot as it's moving into the area. As we may see, as these storms are moving back into locations that have already been picking up some rounds of heavier rain, that this atmosphere is kind of getting worked over, if you will, that whenever you deal with that round of heavy rain, it starts to cool temperatures at the surface. You help stabilize the atmosphere, and the storms that move back in, you could see this. So there's some rounds of heavier rain. So as these storms are moving back into these same locations, you can see that one cell weakened substantially, really fell apart as it moved back into southern Noble County. If you can get some sun to break back out, it can help destabilize things, but we may start to see that risk of severe thunderstorms start to lower here into the latter part of this afternoon. And anytime this does occur, you want to keep a close eye on locations that haven't had a lot of that heavier rain so far, especially later this afternoon. But you even had some rounds of heavy rain even into portions there of Tyler as well as Wetzel County. So we'll see. It'll be interesting to see how this cell progresses, moving towards areas towards New Martinsville. We'll see how this one, if it maintains its strength or begins to weaken, this could start to signify a lowering risk in that severe weather. If we're starting to see these cells that are progressing back in the area continuing to weaken, like we did in Noble County, then there's good evidence that the atmosphere is starting to stabilize in those areas. And as we extend closer to sunset, we don't have, right? We would need that sunshine to help destabilize the atmosphere again in between these rounds of these thunderstorms and heavy rain. But if we're starting to see that as we extend closer to sunset, then we're not getting that. And then this signifies that that risk of severe weather starting to lower. A severe thunderstorm watch remains in effect until we get to 8 o'clock this evening. So it could very well be canceled before then, but severe thunderstorm watch is in effect until 8 o'clock. It is primarily for locations south of I-70. You can see all of Tyler, Wetzel, Monroe, most of Noble. And the way this works is they draw this, but if you see some of these counties that are just in it, it's going to include all the counties. So you can see the sliver there of Ohio County, Belmont County, Noble, Monroe, Tyler, Wetzel, Marshall County under that severe thunderstorm watch. The emphasis certainly, and we've seen this come to fruition with these severe thunderstorms, the emphasis is certainly south of I-70. This continues until 8 o'clock, so we still have technically a window a little over 4 hours from now, but we may very well start to see things wind down at this point, as evidence is there that these storms moving back in, they're weakening substantially. That's been the case with that cell moving into Noble County as these move back in. So what to watch for now? So we're going to keep an eye on these couple of cells into Tyler, moving into Tyler, Wetzel County. And we'll see if these gain any more steam. These would be these cells, these couple of cells here that we're zooming in on are going to be the ones. We'll see if these gain a little more steam. So notice these two cells, one moving towards areas between New Martinsville, Middlebourne, and the other one that's going to be making its aim towards 100 in Wetzel County. We're watching those two cells. I would say the ones to really watch right now. Further out, what we'll watch for is this moving back into Morgan County. We'll see if this one doesn't start to weaken as well as it makes its way It looks like it. Look at that. So evidence there. So evidence there that's moving. Let's say that's at Hawking County into Perry County, Morgan County. So it looks like that's weakening. There's that what we call a hail core, right? Notice that spike in reflectivity. Look at that purple. It's like a bullseye. See that? So that's what we call a hail core. Notice that dissipating, and overall looks to be weakening as it moves into Morgan County. We'll see if that trend continues. Those are the ones to watch for right now. Another one there would be into southern Tyler County between Muskingum and Parkersburg. Those are the storms we're going to be watching for right now, but no active warnings. And we'll see if that trend doesn't continue with these continuing to weaken now, like what we saw in Noble County. Kim is asking, so Woodsfield going to get another severe storm with hail? And right now, no, I don't foresee anything threatening right now. You'll have a shower getting ready to move back further to the west. We'll see. Your one to watch for is what resides back further to the west here. But even then, that could very well just be a passing shower, maybe some rumbles of thunder. See how this is still just not. You can see even this storm has. We'll see. Well, we'll look at a few more scans of this one moving through Morgan County there from Perry into Morgan. We'll see how that's holding up, moving into Noble County. But right now, there's nothing threatening imminently for Woodsfield in terms of the hail. Your hail threat was what moved through earlier this afternoon. That was this storm right here. So this storm right here earlier this afternoon, there's a look at 220. So 233, look how close that was. So there was a hail core near Woodsfield. If anything, just north of Woodsfield, might have seen some of that large hail, maybe even to the northeast of Woodsfield. It was very close. That was your hail risk, the best chance for it. And we'll still got to monitor these storms that are lingering, like we mentioned, but that was your best chance likely for hail for this afternoon. Richard says, good day to cut the grass. Cleans your mower off too. What's coming later, 5 to 8 o'clock? Misty. So like I mentioned, these storms, it's monitoring now. I think we saw that cell really fall apart in Noble County. If we see that trend continue with these cells that remain, if these are not gaining any more steam and we're seeing these overall weaken, then there's evidence there that our severe threat's diminishing now at this point. And with these rounds of some heavier rain that have already progressed over these areas, that it's helping stabilize the atmosphere and it's overall lowering our risk of severe weather. So if we do see that trend continue, then it's a situation right now where we're really just monitoring things, right? We're keeping an eye on a couple cells there, one into moving between New Martinsville. This one right here, between Middlebourne and New Martinsville, we're watching that cell. More of a heavy shower. We're not even getting lightning within that. This one is well moving towards 100. Those are two we're watching for, making sure they don't gain a little more steam. And then the other one to watch for, or I should say couple, this one towards Marietta, Parkersburg. That's going to be areas closer to and south of Middlebourne and Tyler County. And then this one looking back moving into Morgan County. So those are the cells we're watching right now. And nothing right now that's threatening. And we're not seeing that distinct hail core, right? That purple, the bullseye almost. We're not seeing that distinct hail core within these. We're not seeing these really picking up steam and gaining strength either. If anything, we've been dealing with a weakening trend within these as they're moving towards the east. So we're just keeping a close eye on things. I think we could still sneak in one more severe thunderstorm warning, but for locations that have already dealt with some warnings, your risk may very well be diminishing. And I'm really curious just to see how well this one specifically is holding up from Morgan into Noble County, as this last storm that we saw. Just look how much it weakened as it moved into southern Noble County, just completely dissipated, really cut off. And if it's moving back into, you see those locations, I see this heavier rain that occurred into southern Noble County, and then the storm moved back in over that same area and really dissipated as it moved in. So there's some evidence that things could start to stabilize in the parts in south of I-70. And just unfortunately, it's a situation now where we got to wait and see. We'll watch these storms that continue, we'll see how these continue the trend. Look at that. That's what we call, look how far that is, that lightning strike. Pine Grove, bolt from the blue, as the saying goes. And that's right there. I like showing those because it just goes to show where we saw radar right there. See that? It goes to show how far lightning can strike from a thunderstorm. Look how far that is from that storm, which is centered further north. Look at that lightning in Pine Grove. Check that out. This is why you hear that saying, when thunder roars, go indoors, right? I always like to show that. It's a good reminder that you don't have to be dealing with the storm itself, right, to see lightning strike. So if you're close enough to hear the thunder, you're close enough to see lightning strike. And this isn't something that occurs every time, but I like to show that because it's a friendly reminder that, yes, you don't have to be in the storm itself to have lightning be a threat. And if you're close enough to hear thunder, you're close enough to get struck by lightning. So just a friendly reminder. And this isn't something that we deal with every time, but that's a great reminder there, what we just saw occur in Wetzel County, that you don't have to be real close at all for to still see lightning from more of a distant thunderstorm. Obviously, there's limitations in range, but you get the idea that if you can hear the thunder, you can see lightning. You can see lightning strike at your location, even though you may still be looking at completely bone-dry conditions. If you can hear the thunder, then the threat for lightning is there. So, friendly reminder coming out of Wetzel County. So let's take a look at this cell right here. It looks like we may have gained. It looks like we're gaining. Looks like a little more steam there. There's a few more lightning strikes. There's evidence there. It's gaining a little more steam. So we'll watch that as it moves into 100. That may. We'll see if it gains a little more steam, especially if it starts to develop a hail core. Also, this cell looks like we have lightning within this one as well. So looks like those two cells are the ones to really watch for at this point. Looks like they may be gaining a little more steam. Looking back further to the west, this is the one that's interested me the most in terms of how this one's going to hold up. And it still looks like it's still maintaining its strength there. It's not completely dissipating yet. We'll keep an eye on that one. So really at this point now, this is what to do. We just have to keep an eye on these and continue to monitor if they're gaining, weakening as they're progressing towards the east. Again, nothing that's threatening right now in terms of large hail or damaging winds or a tornado. There's nothing threatening like that right now, but it's one of those situations where, with these thunderstorms, conditions can change quickly. So that's why, as we monitor these storms, you can see that severe thunderstorm warning pop up in an instant. As soon as there's evidence that it's producing large hail, it's producing some high winds, or potentially producing a tornado, that's what prompts those severe thunderstorm or tornado warnings as these pass. Right now, there's no evidence of that, but again, it's something that we just have to keep an eye on as this moves through. Jackie says, thank you so much. You're the best. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. That's some kind words. Thank you, Jackie. And again, hat off and thanks to Emma as well for starting the coverage. She did a great job to keep you guys posted earlier into the afternoon hours, and just continue to watch these thunderstorms as they progress across our area. Again, the severe thunderstorm watch remains in effect until we get to 8 o'clock. So we still have a little less than 4 hours yet. That watch remains in effect. I wouldn't be surprised if it is canceled before then. And really, I think we'll still watch a window here up to 5, maybe 6 o'clock. And I think we'll watch up here the next hour specifically on what these cells are doing, moving back into the area. And if we're still not seeing much, and if these are actually still weakening as they're moving in, then may very well start to see that we may see that watch be canceled. So, but we'll still give it. I'd still, keep weather aware here at least over the next hour as we see how things progress up to 5 o'clock with these storms across the area. And if we do see these still gaining some more strength into some locations, if we're seeing some more warnings, that watch will continue. But right now, nothing that is imminent is threatening, but we'll keep an eye on this. So we're watching, still not getting evidence there. Let's look at our velocity. Let's see how we're doing with so velocity just meaning it's a fancy word. So we're looking at wind speed and direction. So anytime you see the radar indicated rotation, this is the product that we're looking at. So, and we've dealt with this. Oh, look at that. How fitting, a new warning just popped up. So anytime we're dealing with radar indicated rotation, this is what we are looking for. Radar indicated rotation, and this would be it. And you can see that there has been, again, we've dealt with this all this afternoon for some of these storms. There's been some rotation. So, and you can see this depicted on our radar. Now, the reasoning that we have not had a tornado warning is while there is some rotation. So we're looking at the green and the red. So the green indicates the wind blowing towards the radar site. So when we're looking towards Pittsburgh, we got to draw our arrow that way, right? Pittsburgh's to the northeast of where we're looking at here into eastern Wetzel County. So, and red's away. So if you draw that and then continue it, so green towards red away, green towards red away. So there's indicated rotation. But the thing is that it's been broad enough that there is likely some rotation there, but it can be occurring aloft. So the storm can be rotating, but then the issue arises if we see this begin to tighten. That's when. So if we see a brighter red and a brighter green, if we're seeing brighter colors right next to each other, that we start to see evidence that this rotation's tightening, that's when it can lower. That's when that tornado risk comes into play. So some rotation there right now. If we were to see this between scans begin to tighten, there's an indication there that that rotation can be lowering, and as the rotation lowers, that's what spawns funnel cloud, and eventually, if the funnel cloud reaches the ground, a tornado, right? Because a funnel cloud, it's a tornado, hasn't reached the ground yet. As soon as it reaches the ground, it's a tornado. So funnel cloud to tornado, that's when that rotation starts to tighten. As it tightens, it can lower, and that's where we can get that tornado threat. So yes, it is another thing we've been watching. Has not come to fruition yet. Another thing to monitor with these storms, that we have some rotation. If it tightens, a tornado warning can be issued. Thankfully, we have not had that happen yet, but that is another threat that we're watching. But let's get back to this severe thunderstorm. Severe thunderstorm warning. So, and look at that. So there is our hail core, right? There it is. Bullseye developed right there. And like we mentioned, as soon as this develops, prompts that severe thunderstorm warning, and we just haven't had that yet. So look at what happened between these past few scans. So we go back just even a couple hours. So look what this. So nothing, hail core. There it goes, hail core. And they're developing right there. So again, just based off of reflectivity, where can we be dealing with some of that large hail with this? Even upwards of 1.25 inches. So even prompting that potential for up to $50 sized hail with this. That, in addition to, they tagged along those wind speeds, potential there up to 60 mile per hour wind gust. But that hail is likely more of the concerning part of this. So that's what we've seen a lot more evidence of with the large hail with these thunderstorms so far for today. So this is moving between, let's see, this is into Dean. So first of all, get a broader view. So we're looking into the northeastern portion of Wetzel County. Now we'll zoom in. So we're looking into Wetzel County. This is south of Marshall, not impacting Marshall County, but in the northeastern part of Wetzel County, moving towards 100. And that hail core is moving towards 100 as well into Wetzel County. Right now, that's Endicott. So near Endicott specifically, you can see that. Low Gap Run Road, that hail core right over that, moving toward Robinson Ridge Road, just south of Endicott. That's where we have that hail core. So producing some large hail right near that Endicott right now. And this is moving towards the east, towards Robinson Ridge Road. That's that Knob Fork, I believe, if I'm reading that right. Yep, Knob Fork Road, moving into Knob Fork Road, and eventually towards White Road, Robinson Ridge Road, Sugar Run Road. Those locations further towards the east, that's where it's heading. Very close to Endicott, north of Dean. This will be staying north of Anthem into Wetzel County, so northeastern Wetzel County. And where you see that purple, that's where that spike in reflectivity, that's where radar's indicating that potential for some large hail, that hail core signature on radar and reflectivity. So where we're dealing with that, that's where that potential for some large hail resides. And still getting that with that latest scan, very close there to Endicott. And again, we're looking at Wetzel County. The severe thunderstorm warning remains in effect until 4:45 p.m. That severe thunderstorm warning. So let's scroll back out here. And that's our one warning. Let's take a look at this cell that we're also watching. This gaining a little more steam. Looks like there's some more lightning within it. It's gaining a little more, so it's another one to watch. That's going to be south of New Martinsville, moved through Sisterville. It's east of Sisterville now, north of Middleburn, so moving from Tyler into Wetzel County. That's another one to watch. It's going to be very close to New Martinsville, if anything, just clipping New Martinsville near Sandusky from Tyler into Wetzel County, moving towards Pine Grove. Really going to be moving back close to locations where that severe thunderstorm warning remains into effect right now in the northeastern Wetzel County. Nothing severe with this, but like we saw, how things can quickly change with these thunderstorms. If this gains a little more steam and we start to see that hail core develop, we could see another warning issued from that one as well. Another one I want to keep an eye on, a couple here this is now east or southeast of Muskingum. This is going to be moving from Washington County into Tyler County, not dealing with any lightning with this, moving towards St. Mary's. How's this one been progressing? Now still maintaining some strength, but we need to watch that one moving towards St. Mary's. It'll be moving into the western part of Tyler County. Another one here from Morgan. This will be moving back into Washington, towards Marietta, Lower Salem, and then areas into southern Noble County, likely south of Caldwell, even though you still get some rain in Caldwell. But the concerning part south of that into southern Noble County, and still not dissipating yet. So another one to watch there, as it's pretty much maintaining. It's not gaining any more steam. It's pretty much maintaining that strength. Looks like for the most part there, moving through southern Morgan County. So those are the cells to watch. There's 1, 2, 3. We have 4 there that we're watching right now. And the one that has picked up that steam, and there's the hail core still present. So now extending even south towards Dean. So we've seen that hail core expand. So we're seeing that hail core over areas between Endicott down near Dean, and moving towards the east, towards Knob Fork Road, Camp Run Road, towards Robinson Ridge Road, towards Knob Fork. This will be moving then towards areas near Anthem, especially north of Anthem. And then eventually, as we still scroll to the east there, towards 100 as well. So not quite there yet, but that's the direction it's heading, into northeastern Wetzel County. So if you're tuning in northeastern Wetzel County, if you're under the severe thunderstorm warning in any of those locations I just mentioned, then watch. The greatest potential there, certainly that potential for some large hail. Even the National Weather Service there, hail size 1.25 inches. That's up to $half sized hail. That's some large hail, and it could be some damaging hail potential there. So the hail core, look at that latest radar scan, now showing that hail core present east of Endicott. So that again is over, let's see, Windy Ridge Road. See Sugar Run Road. This is moving east toward Long Drain Road, Mary Lane. South there of Littleton towards 100, but in that area, but between Endicott, 100, Littleton, north of Anthem, triangulate the position there between those locations into northeast Wetzel County is where this is heading. Just worth mentioning as well, so I know there's some locations in this warning that you may be tuning in from that I haven't mentioned. That would be locations, so there's what? So Sincerity, just north of Sincerity, Earnshaw, under that warning, even locations back further to the west that the storm has already passed. So that would include, Wheat, is that Hoyt, Rockport. So if you see this, the severe risk not present for those areas, even though still under that warning, the storms past those locations, also likely passing to the north there of some of these locations as well. As you can see, Earnshaw picking up some of that rain. It's going to really just clip Earnshaw likely, but the greatest risk is further north of there, moving towards 100. So certainly taking aim towards 100 in Wetzel County. It will get some heavier rain there near Anthem. So watch there, Anthem, 100, moving east to Endicott now. But really, if you're tuning in around 100, you're likely going to be getting hit by this storm. That's really where it's taking aim towards. And again, we're getting that hail core with this still present. That's where we're dealing with that purple and reflectivity, that higher reflectivity, that potential is there then for the large hail with this storm. Seeing if we got any more reports coming in. I don't see any more reports yet coming in so far. Let's see, Summerfield, Monroe, let's see, hail 3/4 of an inch, a little less than quarter-sized hail. Trees down along Brackenridge Road, so there are some more reports coming in. That was in, let's see, Brackenridge Road, that report was coming in from Louisville and Monroe. Also then getting some hail reported in that same area. So some wind damage, some of those reports are now starting to filter in as some wind damage as well. That was coming out of, again, Monroe County, reports of wind damage. So some gusty winds, large hail, and that is what we've been primarily dealing with this. And it looks like the latest scan, I was reading some storm reports, and look at that. What happened with the latest scan is that hail core not showing. And what can happen is so when the hail core disappears like that, we can see from one scan to the next that we've lost that hail core. That hail could have very well fell. So we could have looked at some large hail there between Endicott and 100. This is progressing towards the east, still producing. Again, we're dealing with some frequent lightning, some heavy downpours, potential there for some large hail. Thankfully, not dealing with, you could see there was certainly some rotation with this, especially initially as the warning was issued. Thankfully, not seeing much rotation now with this storm. But we've seen that at times with these thunderstorms. They happen rotating. It's just thankfully a lot of the rotations are remaining aloft and not reaching down to the ground. So we saw this rotation. If we were to see this tighten and then lower, that would prompt a tornado warning. But thankfully, we have not seen that so far. But we have been dealing with some rotation within these thunderstorms as well. So the severe thunderstorm warning remains in effect until we extend to 4:45. Still have some time yet. This is taking aim again towards 100. We can see that hail core very well redevelop as this is moving towards and through 100 and northeastern part of Wetzel County. Look back further to the west. Also keep an eye on that storm between New Martinsville and Middlebourne. And this one, if we look back on how this has trended, thankfully we are getting some weakening with that. So that's a good trend there. That's moving towards Pine Grove between Middlebourne, New Martinsville, towards Pine Grove. Also keeping an eye on a thunderstorm moving into St. Mary's. How has this storm been progressing? It looks like it's still maintaining its strength. So another one to watch that'll be moving into Western Tyler County. There we go. Another one in Morgan. That's in central southern Morgan County, moving into Washington. Then areas impacted as this progresses to the east is going to be areas near Marietta, Lower Salem. Likely you'll get some rain, but likely south of Caldwell. But we're watching this storm as well as it's moving east back towards our area. This one looks like it is maintaining its strength, so it's another one to watch. And if anything, these past few scans, it's picking up some steam. So that's certainly one to watch there towards Waterford, towards Muskingum, Marietta, and into Washington County there. Areas north of Parkersburg, West Virginia, more towards Marietta, Ohio, Lower Salem. Those are the areas to watch. Watertown, Waterford, Wesley. I'm getting ready to enter into Wesley. That's out of our area, but we'll watch for that one. That this is gaining some steam. This cell here as well. So these are still, it's gaining some steam. So we could get a couple severe thunderstorm warnings issued further towards our west yet. That's moving into Athens area. So yeah, we'll see if those storms further to the west don't get warned. But for us, we just have one severe thunderstorm warning. And this storm is now entering into 100. This is going to be moving east through the northeastern part of Wetzel County. Will make its departure here shortly of Wetzel County, moving out of our area. And we'll be left with a couple of these cells. Nothing there to prompt a severe thunderstorm warning between New Martinsville, Middlebourne, Pine Grove. Watch that cell progress to the east. This one as well, moving into western Tyler County. These cells back further to the west, certainly more impressive. These are some stronger thunderstorms. I would say the ways these are progressing, they gain a little more steam. We'll probably get some warnings. This is intensifying. You can see the lightning really picking up with that. You can see that moving into Athens County. See that storm there? See how it's starting to pick up some steam rather quickly. And the same there, looking into Morgan County. So we'll see with these two storms here. We don't get some warnings here shortly. Not of our area, but in terms of what is moving back in, I'd certainly keep an eye on those thunderstorms. A lot of that is going to be even staying south of Noble County. It could clip southern Noble County and then into southern Monroe, more towards Tyler Wetzel again. But those are the areas we're watching. So I know some of you are likely tuning in. Guernsey, Belmont, Ohio County, northern Marshall. If you're tuning in Wheeling, St. Clairsville, and Belmont County in general, and if you're wondering with these storms, these have been trending south. And right now, I don't see anything threatening for areas along I-70. What I see threatening is south of I-70, Noble, Monroe, Tyler, Wetzel County. I really think that's really where we're watching. Those counties specifically is where we're watching at this point for that risk for severe thunderstorm. In terms of just what's moving back in, you can see there's some showers along I-70, but this is nothing that some showers moving through Zanesville, Guernsey County there. We'll monitor them, but nothing that's real threatening there that's moving into those areas. And certainly the more threatening storms is what's currently further south. You can see this, look at this, seeing that hail core develop. This is probably going to get warned very soon. This is near Chester Hill. This is out of our area, but this is likely going to get warned very soon. The severe, what I'd say is probably the verge of severe thunderstorm, southern Morgan into northeastern Athens County, getting ready to move into Washington County. So that one, and again, the storm back further to the west, but especially this one, could very well get warned very shortly. Very, very shortly. But these are the storms that are much more threatening. And again, it's more exclusively Noble, Monroe, Tyler, Wetzel County, especially at this point that we're watching for. And you can see this one, a lot of this is even going to be, a lot of that's likely even just south of Noble County, more to Washington County. But those are the counties exclusively we're watching for. So our severe thunderstorm warning, we'll get back to this, and we'll see how this has been progressing. You can see moving through the 100 area right now, moving just east of Anthem right now, just north of Earnshaw. I know Earnshaw is really just getting clipped by this, but near Earnshaw, north of Earnshaw, towards 100, towards Cottontown, east of Anthem, into the very northeastern part of, or eastern part of Wetzel County, as this is moving towards the east. Getting ready to move out of Wetzel County, and then moving out of our area. But that's our one severe thunderstorm warning. Remains in effect. They've dropped the hail size down to quarter size, wind speeds up to 60 miles per hour. So potential for some damaging winds and large hail with this into portions of Wetzel County. So scroll back out, and these couple cells, hey, like we discussed, look at that. There's our severe thunderstorm warning. And that's, again, for that storm that is moving southern Morgan County and then to Washington County. You can see where this is headed towards, what was that, Barlow, I believe it popped up. Yeah, Wesley, direct impact towards Wesley, Barlow, moving eventually towards Marietta and Waterford, Watertown. That's where that's heading. That hail core, that's Wesley especially. I mean, it's taking direct aim towards Wesley. And that's into the northwestern part of Washington County, I believe, southern Morgan. Let's see, the northeastern sliver, right along that. There's Athens, so right along Athens, Morgan County, right along that county boundary, and continuing right towards Wesley, between, let's see, Chester Hill, Wesley. That's where it's heading. So out of our area, but we'll watch for that. And again, areas that are to watch for with that, south of Caldwell in Noble County, likely south of Woodsfield in Monroe County, towards New Martinsville, Wetzel County, Tyler County. We'll watch. That's those areas I mentioned, and we'll watch these moving back in. So these storms that are further towards our west right now, these are the ones to watch as they move in east-northeast. So, draw the lines. These are moving back into our area. So these are the ones to watch. And again, could very well, even if you were to draw, you could see how they could still clip into locations, southern Noble, southern Monroe, a lot more towards Tyler, Wetzel County, maybe southern Marshall, but those are the counties I keep mentioning, the ones we've been tracking so far that have that higher risk of severe weather that's more threatening. We look towards I-70 to Guernsey, Belmont. We look towards Ohio County. I'm just not seeing much there at all as we look further towards the north into these areas. So, and especially north of I-70, the severe risk isn't there. But even along I-70, just not seeing much. And again, the culprit of this is a frontal boundary. So, and you can see this. We discussed this yesterday. Just look how drastic the temperatures changing across our area. So we have those temperatures from the 40s to the 70s. What a difference across the area. We're looking at the temperature difference there, 43 to 76. How staggering of a temperature difference. And again, the culprit is that frontal boundary. It's just sitting right over us. So this frontal boundary is just sitting right over us. Let's see if we can draw. We don't want the warm front. Let's see if we can get that. So we were just to draw this. You can see this frontal boundary is just sitting just right over us, right? So we're getting south of that, which is real close in drawing, and where we saw, the National Weather Service, where they drew that severe thunderstorm watch, it lines up pretty close to that front, right? So you get north of this front, and the severe risk isn't there, and it's much cooler. Further south, this atmosphere is more ripe for those thunderstorms south of this boundary. So that's where you're seeing, especially into Noble, Monroe, Tyler, Wetzel County, Marshall County, these areas especially, it's just the environment's more ripe for these thunderstorms. And, even if we broaden our view, you can get even more of a zoomed out and broader look at this boundary. Look, you could really draw it out, right? If you look across the tri-state area, you can really draw out where that front is sitting across the area. And if south of that we're still seeing that severe threat continue. And as we go into this evening, we will notice that a lot of these showers and thunderstorms will wane as the sun sets. We can see a few linger overnight, but the potential for these showers and thunderstorms will drop off. The severe risk is going to fall off, and we'll see here. I still think that potential. So we go over the next, it's 4:30 right now, so say 5:30, 6 o'clock. We still see how these are. We're maintaining some strength in these. We still have to watch, especially southern Noble, southern Monroe, Tyler, Wetzel County. Those areas where, these storms back further towards the west are going to track back into. These are still, as you can see, that severe thunderstorm warning in effect there. So we still have to watch as these storms move back into these areas that that potential for a severe thunderstorm lingers. Now, our severe thunderstorm that was in Wetzel County, this is near 100. This is moving at this point. You can see it's centered there east of Earnshaw to the east of 100. This is starting to move towards Wadestown. This is starting to move out of Wetzel County, right along the fringe there, northeastern Wetzel County. And we are not seeing as pronounced of that hail core as what we've seen at times, but still, this is we're dealing with a lot of lightning with that, some heavy downpours. We're still dealing with that. We can look at what radar is indicating in terms of the speeds, rotation. Thankfully, we're not dealing with the rotation showing up right now with the latest scan, but at times, and we saw it there pop up, you can see that. So the colors we're looking at here, the green and the red, is the winds towards and away from the radar site. Now, our radar site's in Pittsburgh. So from 100 towards Pittsburgh, we've got to go towards the north, right? Northeast. And if we draw this towards the north there, so there's green towards, and there's red away. Oh, let's go back a little bit. So this is, again, so if we were to continue this, so this is what would happen. So green towards, red away. Green towards, red away. So there, it's rotating. Radar indicated rotation. Now, the issue arises is when we see this tighten, and we see some of the brighter greens and reds together. We see it brighten and get very close together. That's indication that it's tightening. And as that rotation tightens, it can lower. So when you do deal with, the storms can rotate, but if it remains aloft, if the storms are rotating and it remains aloft, there's no threat to the ground. But as it tightens, it can lower. And whenever that rotation tightens and begins to lower, that's what we see as a funnel cloud. And of course, if it continues to lower and reaches the ground, that's when we get a tornado. So that's what, thankfully, we have not seen that rotation really tighten to prompt a tornado warning to where it could be lowering. But these storms at times they have been rotating. So that has been on the table as well as that potential for a tornado, which is thankfully has not come to fruition. What we've seen a lot more of is large hail with these thunderstorms. We've been dealing with some gusty winds with these thunderstorms as well, but thankfully have not had that tornado threat. And again, you can see though that rotation was there. We just pointed out. Notice again, it's just these last few scans is just not showing much at all. So we're rotating at times. Thankfully, it has not continued and tightened. And if we were to see that over, especially even a few scans, if we were to see that trend continue and then tighten, likely would have prompted some tornado warnings. But thankfully, have not had that come to fruition. There's a hail core redeveloped with that. So we're seeing that purple there on reflectivity, and we're seeing that now towards St. Leo. So if we were to go back, you can see, so there it is developing, move towards St. Leo. So that potential for some large hail between Cottontown, St. Leo, as this is moving towards the east. And again, it's now starting to move out of Wetzel County, starting to move out of area. It's going to be heading towards Morgantown. That's where we'll watch that storm going to be tracking east towards Morgantown. The cell is getting a little steamier. We got to watch this one. This is towards areas going to be moving towards Smithfield. It's located southeast New Martinsville, really staying close to state route. Looks like that is, was it 7? Looks like 7 there. So moving into Pine Grove right now, near Atwood, Pine Grove, towards Smithfield, Brink, south of Dean, likely along State Route 7, 20, into Wetzel County. Watch this one, moving out of Tyler into Wetzel County. Watch this one, it's starting to gain a little more steam. If we see that hail core pronounced with this, we'll have to watch. Let's look at what do we have for our velocity here. And I'm not seeing anything real impressive there, thankfully. Not getting that rotation, not seeing much impressive there with when it comes to wind speeds with this storm. But we'll watch that. That is still one to watch, again, towards the Smithfield area. Not seeing anything real impressive with this storm moving into western Tyler County. But that's another one we'll continue to monitor. And then further to the west, this one certainly. That is, look at that, even more of that further spike. That's likely some large hail. Be interested to see how large a hail that is there near Dale, east of Chester Hill. This is out of our area, but that looks to be some significant hail potential with this storm moving into those locations. Let's see what it's depicting anything with the hail size. Let's see, what's it trying to estimate here? Moving towards Dale. It's not going to have what we want, so it's estimating up to quarter size. I could imagine that hail is probably even a little greater than that towards Dale right now. But even if we zoom out, you can see this hail. It's been at times we've been dealing with large hail within these thunderstorms, and especially compile that with storm reports. And there's our hail reports coming in with these severe thunderstorms. Looks like there's one more hail report that got added between Noble and Monroe County. Likely have some more filtering in this evening for locations either further east of Monroe, but especially towards Tyler, Wetzel County, Marshall County. Wouldn't be surprised if there's more reports coming in as we go throughout this evening for locations even outside of what we're seeing with those initial reports right now. So looking at live radar, so just a couple severe thunderstorm warnings. Again, the one is now starting to move out of Wetzel County. Look at that. That's another impressive hail core right there. Check that out. So again, likely some very large hail near. There's St. Leo as well. That's a depressive hail core towards Klondike. This is moving out of Wetzel County, but you see that hail core really picking up now. I think there's potential for even greater than quarter size with that near St. Leo. With that hail core pronounced. Again, thankfully moving out of the area, but that's going to be towards Klondike, St. Leo, Wadestown, Miracle Run, those locations I mentioned. That's where it's heading as it's making its way. If you look further towards the east, where's it going? Well, it's going towards the Morgantown area. That's where it's going to be progressing eventually towards Morgantown area. Continues to progress further towards the east into that northeastern part or northeastern part of West Virginia. Now, the severe thunderstorm warning. This one impressive. That's a lot of lightning. Look at the amount of lightning within. That is a violent thunderstorm. The amount of lightning with this one really picking up near Wesley. This is moving again from southern Morgan. This is going to be moving into Washington, and it can clip southern Noble, but thankfully it looks like the brunt force of this is going to stay more south of Noble County, taking aim to locations between Lower Salem and Marietta especially. So, you know, if you're tuning in there, southern Noble County could get clipped by this, but that is a violent thunderstorm. That is, yes, wow. You can see the very pronounced hail core there. We could be producing some large hail right near Dale into, looks like right, let's see if we can, looks like right between Washington County and Morgan County. That can be producing some very large hail right now. As a violent thunderstorm, you can see the amount of lightning with that moving towards Waterford, Watertown, along Barlow really getting clipped by this, but these more significant part of the storm staying north of Barlow. But that is a violent thunderstorm for sure that is impacting those locations. So, didn't want to do that. Let's do this. So looking at velocity with this one, you know, I'm not seeing any real tight rotation with this. This is making its way into those areas. We'll look at some hail. Let's see what it's showing for. See if it's estimating some of the hail size. Oh, I want to do that. So let's see. I imagine this is trying to estimate hail greater than quarter size, and I would bet that yes, it's definitely greater than quarter size hail that could be potentially producing, and would be surprised maybe even upwards of at least ping pong ball sized hail, maybe even up to golf ball sized hail. That is a violent thunderstorm impacting those areas. So see, the National Weather Service, they went ahead and extended that severe thunderstorm warning. They're going to keep an eye on that storm. They just went ahead and extended all the way to Morgantown. Like we mentioned, that's where it's heading. Another hail core with that showing up. So this potential with large hail just continues with that storm. And as that potential has continued, they're going to go ahead and extend that further east towards Morgantown. The potential there still for that large hail, the damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour. That storm no longer threatening our area. It's progressing east out of our area. It's going to be impacting areas towards Morgantown. Really, the violent thunderstorm to keep a close eye on right now is this one. Thankfully, this is it's clipping southern Noble, but it's going to be moving more through Washington County, and we still have to watch for this. This is going to be clipping southern Noble, southern Monroe, but the violent aspect of this thunderstorm. Look at the lightning. Just the pure amount of lightning with this. That is a violent thunderstorm. Let's see if we can get, our lightning strikes with this. And if we could look at the amount of lightning within this storm. 70 lightning strikes. Yeah, that is some frequent lightning to say the least with that. Moving into areas, again, taking aim towards Marietta and Lower Salem as this is progressing towards the east. But this is quite possibly the most violent thunderstorm that we've been dealing with so far for this afternoon. That is a nasty looking storm. They're moving out of Chester Hill towards Barlow. Again, taking aim between Marietta, Lower Salem, Washington County, out of our area, but that is one to watch for sure as it progresses towards the east. And if we do some motion with this is moving towards the east. You can draw some arrows here in locations that we're going to be watching this impacted. So if we were to draw again the northern fringe of this to watch for, you can see how it can just clip. That northern fringe can just clip their portions of Noble and Monroe. But really, the areas to keep a closer eye on is going to be Tyler and Wetzel County. So that's really where we'll keep a closer eye on this. We'll see how this maintains its strength through Washington. But certainly the violent aspect of this, the area of concern is likely south of Noble, and it's very close to southern Monroe, but it's south of Woodsfield, well south of Woodsfield. It'll end up closer to New Martinsville, south of New Martinsville. Tyler County's direct aim of this, so especially into Tyler County, we got to keep a close eye on it. Wetzel County as well. Again, New Martinsville very close. If anything, may stay just south of New Martinsville, but still impact southern Wetzel, Tyler County. Those areas are more of a direct impact with this as it progresses to the east. So that's the one we're watching for right now. No severe thunderstorm warnings in our area at this point. That one that was in Wetzel County, the storm's moving out of Wetzel County, so your severe risk is lowering. This storm that we're tracking right now is the one that to really watch for as this moves back east into these areas. And we can give a rough estimate of time on when to watch for this. We to draw our, let's see if we can look at that. They just went ahead and extended that. I don't blame them, because that's so again, so you can see how close it can end up to New Martinsville. You can see how it can just clip southern Noble and Monroe, but really the heart of this is taking aim into Tyler County, and then it's eventually southern Wetzel. So there's a rough estimate of time. So really to watch here over the next hour as this moves into portions there, Tyler, Wetzel County specifically. So we're still got to keep an eye on this. As this one passes, we may then finally start to be able to just start to lower and cut off that risk of severe weather altogether. But I'd still watch for this storm yet, moving back into these areas. See how this holds up, moving through Washington County. So we'll see how this maintains the strength in Washington County. If it's holding up, you can see severe thunderstorm warnings is extended all the way through Tyler, southern Wetzel County. If we get to the weekend, then it'll be good news that, and once we get past this, I think, when we can start to call off a lot of our severe risk. I think this is the one more to watch, and then we get past this, I think we can start to lower that severe risk in general across the area. But that's the one additional one that I would watch yet. We get further to the north. If you're tuning in along I-70, there's just not much there. There's some showers, but along I-70, Guernsey, Belmont, Ohio County, it's the severe risk is staying south of those areas. No severe risk. There's not much there at all, but specifically severe risk is non-present north of I-70. A lot of this has to do, again, with where the front is setting up. So that's why there's such a difference across the area. If you're tuning in, Tuscarawas, Carroll, Columbiana County, you're talking about wearing that jacket today, right? It's chilly. Temperatures have fallen in the 40s for a good portion of those counties, while it's still closer to 80 degrees in Middleburn. So that's the power of this frontal boundary, of how different these air masses are behind it and ahead of it, that it's that big temperature swing across the area that we've seen set up at this point. And we look back to locations north of that front, a lot of locations north of I-70 and even along I-70 where that front resides, that severe risk is present. But south of that front, which coincides with the severe thunderstorm watch, south of that front is where we've seen this severe weather for this afternoon, and where we're still continuing to see these severe thunderstorms tracking. But our severe thunderstorm watch as you can see highlighting those locations south of I-70. This isn't until 8 o'clock, but really at this point, what I'd be watching for is this storm. Well, I'd still not give up watching this one moving east of Pine Grove. That this near Smithfield, Birchfield into southeastern Wetzel may sneak in a warning with that one. But if we look back further to the west in terms of what is yet to come, it's this one. So this is the other one to watch. And this is going to be, again, it's clipping Noble Monroe, but it's primarily staying south of those counties and taking more aim into Tyler and southern Wetzel. So over the next hour, as this tracks through Washington County and makes its way back into those areas, that's the one to really watch for moving back into those areas. We get past that one, and I do think that severe risk can wane then for the remainder of this evening. And before we even get to 8 o'clock, we may see that severe thunderstorm watch canceled altogether across the area. And of course, coming up here, News 9 Live at 5, to give you the latest on this storm. So we're going to be tracking this through the entirety of News 9 Live at 5, News 9 at 6. So we'll be on air and be tracking this the entire time. So I do urge you to tune in News 9 Live at 5, News 9 at 6, as we're going to continue to track this thunderstorm moving into portions of our area. And I'll give you the latest on where we stand with this as the watch continues into locations south of I-70 as well. But for now, I'm going to hop off there, get ready to join you live coming up on News 9 Live at 5. Again, huge thank you to Severe Weather T9 meteorologist Emma Keegan, jumping in, giving you guys an update earlier in this afternoon. Thank you all for tuning in as well. Hope everyone stayed safe. Again, I'll continue to keep you updated as we go throughout this afternoon and evening. You can catch me on Nathan Shutt News 9 on Facebook, Shutt WTOV on X, or formerly Twitter, and of course on air, News 9 Live at 5, News 9 at 6. We'll keep you guys updated on air as well. Thank you all so much, as always, for tuning in. Hope everyone stays safe as we go throughout the remainder of this evening, and I'll make sure to keep you guys updated coming up on News 9 Live at 5. Thanks again so much for tuning in. Have a good and safe evening.